Before we begin, let me ask you something. Where are you listening from tonight? I always wonder who's out there, hearing these words. This story. It's one I've kept locked away for a long time. Not because I'm ashamed exactly, but because some truths are so complicated they don't fit into the neat categories we're taught to use. It began with a sound, a gentle tapping on my bedroom door just after midnight. I remember checking the time, 12:04 a.m. I was in bed, the television casting flickering shadows across the walls, lavender lotion still fragrant on my skin. My joints ached the way they always did at night, and I was reaching for the lamp switch when I heard it. 3 soft knocks, almost apologetic. My heart did that strange flutter it does when something feels different, even though you can't quite name why. You know that feeling, don't you? That sense that the air has changed, even though everything looks the same. Mom? The voice was low, barely above a whisper. It was Marcus, my son. Marcus wasn't a child anymore. At 29, he was a fully grown man, strong, quiet, and carrying a weight that made him seem older than his years. Since moving back home after his engagement fell apart, he'd kept mostly to himself. We shared meals and small talk, but we hadn't really connected, not like before. But this knock? This was different. I opened the door expecting worry, maybe bad news, maybe insomnia. Instead, Marcus stood there without a shirt, wearing only gray sweatpants, his hair damp from a recent shower. When our eyes met, something in his gaze made me step back instinctively. "Can I come in?" he asked. I nodded, unable to find words. He walked to my bed and sat on the edge, just like he used to do as a boy when nightmares woke him. "I couldn't stop thinking," he said after a long pause, "about everything, about this house, about you." I sat beside him. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" He stared at the television screen, blue light washing over both our faces. "I've been feeling something," he said quietly. "Something I don't understand." I didn't speak. I just listened. "You've always been there for me," he continued. "You've protected me, supported me, and lately..." He turned to face me, and the intensity in his eyes made my breath catch. "It's not just that I see you differently, it's that I feel different around you." My throat went tight. Every instinct told me to brush this away, to protect both of us from wherever this road might lead. But instead, I reached out and touched his hand. He didn't pull away. "Marcus," I whispered. "You're frightening me a little." His grip tightened slightly. "I know. I'm frightening myself." The silence between us felt thick, almost tangible. My heart was racing, but not from fear, from confusion, from something I couldn't yet name. He looked down, his voice cracking. "I've never said this to anyone. Maybe I'm wrong to say it now, but you deserve honesty, even if it costs me everything." Then he told me. He explained how his feelings had shifted over recent months. Living under the same roof, seeing me in my robe at breakfast, hearing my laugh from the other room, all of it had awakened something in him he didn't know how to process. I sat frozen. Not from anger, not even from shock, but because somewhere deep inside, I'd felt something shifting too, a closeness that had grown without permission. It wasn't just loneliness or the empty space left by widowhood. It was about him, about the man he'd become. And the most frightening part? I didn't hate what he was saying. I didn't feel repulsed. I felt warm, unsteady, confused. And maybe that scared me more than anything. "Marcus, I don't know what to say," I managed. "You don't have to say anything," he replied. "I just needed you to know." Keeping it inside was destroying me. He stood slowly, as if expecting me to scream or cry or push him away. But I did none of those things. At the door, he paused. "If you never want to speak of this again, I'll understand. I'll respect whatever you need." Then he left, his footsteps fading down the hallway like the echo of a dream I wasn't sure I wanted to wake from. I sat there for hours, replaying his words, the look in his eyes, the gentleness in his voice. And slowly, a part of me I thought had died began to stir, not the mother, but the woman, That night, sleep never came. Only questions, only feelings, and a door that had been opened, even though neither of us knew what waited on the other side. The next day, I moved through the house like a spirit. Everything looked the same. Sunlight through the kitchen window, coffee brewing with its familiar gurgle, Marcus coming downstairs with tousled hair and a quiet, "Morning, Mom," but everything felt different. We both sensed it. I didn't know how to look at him, yet I couldn't stop watching. The way he moved, the way he avoided my eyes while somehow staying close, as if waiting for a signal I wasn't ready to give. We ate in near silence. He offered to run errands. I declined. He took out the trash. I simply nodded. Evening came, and I found myself folding laundry in the den, my hands trembling as I lifted one of Marcus's shirts to my face. It smelled like him, clean and warm. In that moment, everything rushed back, his words from the night before, the ache in his voice, the look in his eyes. I didn't want to feel what I was feeling, but I did. Around 9 p.m., I heard his footsteps in the hallway. This time, my door was slightly open. He paused outside, his shadow visible. He didn't knock, just waited. I don't know what possessed me, but I stood and walked to the door. I opened it wider, revealing him standing there, arms crossed loosely, barefoot, expression unreadable. "Can we talk?" he asked. I hesitated, then stepped aside. Marcus entered slowly, uncertain. I sat on the bed's edge. He remained standing, eyes darting around the room. "I wasn't going to say anything again," he said quietly, but I couldn't keep pretending nothing happened. That felt worse than the truth. I nodded, unsure of my voice. "I know it sounds wrong," he continued. "I know it is wrong by every measure we've been taught. But I can't help what I feel. When I look at you, I don't just see my mother. I see a woman, someone beautiful, kind, strong, someone who makes me feel safe. Someone I want to protect too." My eyes stung. I looked at my hands, trying to steady their trembling. "You're not crazy for feeling that," I said finally. "I don't know what this is. I just know that after you left last night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing your voice. I kept feeling something I haven't felt in years." He took a slow step forward. "You don't hate me?" "No," I whispered. "I don't." He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath all day. Then he sat beside me, not too close, but not far either. "You don't know what it's been like," he said. "Living here again, seeing you every day, waking to your voice, catching your perfume when you walk past. Something inside me woke up and I've been fighting it. But it won't go away." I looked at him, really looked. Marcus wasn't a boy anymore. The freckles had faded. The softness had become angular, masculine. His voice carried weight. And the way he looked at me. It wasn't like a son, not anymore. And I wasn't just his mother in that moment. I was a woman aching to be seen, to be felt. "Maybe you should stay with a friend for a while," I offered softly. "To clear your head." His jaw tightened. "If that's what you want." "I don't know what I want," I admitted. "But I know last night changed something for both of us." He nodded and stood. "I'll give you space, but I'm not taking back what I said. I meant every word." As he turned to leave, I reached out. My fingers brushed his hand. "Marcus." He paused, looking down at where our hands touched, then up at me. "Do you ever think," I said carefully, "that maybe some connections aren't meant to be understood? That maybe they just are?" He blinked slowly. "All the time," he said. Then, without another word, he left. But the air he left behind was anything but still. The next morning, I stared at my reflection longer than usual. Something was different. Not youth, but a flush to my cheeks I hadn't seen in years. An awareness of my own body I thought I'd buried with my husband. I tried staying busy. Gardening, cleaning already clean counters, scrolling through old photos. Anything to distract from the tension humming beneath my skin. Marcus didn't emerge until noon. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. He poured coffee in silence. I'm going to stay at a friend's place tonight, he said finally. Just for a few days. I think we both need that. I nodded. Maybe that's best. But after he left, the house felt suffocating in its emptiness. I wandered room to room like a widow all over again. What did our words mean? Was this loneliness? Grief twisting into something warmer, more dangerous? Or something else entirely? By the second night, I texted him. Simple words. Are you okay? His response came within seconds. Not really. I miss you. Then another message. Can I come over tomorrow? I stared at the screen, heart pounding like I was 20 again, not 63. I typed and deleted twice before finally writing, yes, come after dinner. The next day crawled by. I cooked even though I didn't know if we'd eat together. I opened a bottle of wine I'd been saving. I even wore a blouse usually reserved for special occasions, deep burgundy, just low-cut enough to remind me I was still a woman beneath all these years. He arrived just after 7. We didn't hug, didn't smile, just stood there until I stepped aside. Marcus sat on the living room couch while I poured wine. I could feel his eyes following me, studying the shape of my body, the movement of my hips. There was no hiding it anymore. I wasn't sure you'd say yes, he said as I handed him a glass. I wasn't sure either, I answered, but I kept thinking, maybe this doesn't have to be as confusing as we're making it. He blinked. What do you mean? I sat beside him, closed this time. What if it's not about labels or rules? What if it's about what two people feel when they're alone and the rest of the world disappears? He swallowed hard. Do you still feel it? I asked. He looked into my eyes. More than ever. The room fell into stillness, quiet, intimate, electric. I could feel the warmth of his leg near mine, the tremble in his breathing. I reached out and touched his hand again. Only this time, I didn't stop there. My fingers slid over his knuckles and he let out a shaky breath. Marcus, I said gently, you need to understand. I'm scared. Not of you, not of what I feel, but of what this could do to us. He leaned in slightly. You make me feel alive again, not just wanted, seen. Like I'm not just someone's son, like I'm a man. Tears rose hot and fast. I haven't felt beautiful in a long time, I whispered. You are, he said immediately. You always have been. In that moment, I believed him. I didn't think of expectations or appearances. I thought only of the pulsing, aching closeness that had grown quietly over months, now blooming into something undeniable. I leaned in, pressing my forehead gently to his. Just tell me one thing. Are we going to regret this? He pulled back just enough to meet my eyes. Only if we run from it. I didn't answer. The way we sat there, hands clasped, breathing each other in, was answer enough. We didn't cross every line that night, but they were right there in front of us, and all it would take was one more step. The night stretched on in heavy silence that spoke louder than words. We stayed on the couch for hours, fingers intertwined, hearts beating like thunder. I'd been with one man my entire life. My late husband was good to me, but our intimacy had faded long before he passed. After his death, I never imagined being wanted again. At least not like this. You don't have to be afraid, Marcus said, his thumb brushing over my hand. I am, though, I admitted. Not just of what this means, but of how deep it goes. I don't even know when it started. One day you were just my son. Then suddenly I started seeing things I wasn't supposed to. He nodded. It was never sudden for me. It was slow, quiet. I'd catch myself watching you do simple things. Folding laundry, talking on the phone, laughing while cooking. And I'd feel this pull, like I was waking up to something I didn't have a name for. Then he said something I'll never forget. You don't stop being a woman just because you're a mother. That broke something open inside me. My chest tightened and I turned away so he wouldn't see the tears. But he did, and he gently turned my face back toward him. I see you, he whispered. All of you. Our lips were inches apart. Every nerve ending tingled, my breath catching in my throat. Marcus, I whispered. What are we doing? He didn't answer right away. He just looked into my eyes with raw honesty that crumbled my defenses. We're following what's true, he said finally. Even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else, even if it scares us. And what happens tomorrow? Next week? We take it slow, he said. We don't rush, we don't hide, we just stay open and honest with each other. That was what I needed to hear. Because I wasn't foolish enough to think this would be simple, but I also wasn't willing to bury it anymore. The next moment came without fanfare, just a soft inhale as I leaned in and kissed his cheek. A kiss that lingered, a kiss that said, I hear you. I feel this too. Then slowly, cautiously, his lips found mine. It was tender, hesitant, full of reverence. Like neither of us wanted to break whatever spell we'd stepped into. We held each other for a long time after that. Just held, no rush, only the warmth of connection. Eventually we moved to the bed, not for passion but for closeness. We lay under the blankets, side by side, his hand in mine, our breaths in rhythm. I hadn't felt that kind of peace in years. Thank you, I whispered, my head on his shoulder. For what? He murmured. For seeing me. That night I slept. Really slept for the first time in a long, long while.